After marrying James, apart from our monthly visits to the palace, we had never spent more than an hour alone together. But tonight, he unexpectedly came to my room to stay the night. As James entered, I was just about to go to bed. I had just blown out the candle when I saw his tall figure standing by the bed, startling me so much that I almost screamed.
Your Highness, what are you doing?
The rest of my words were swallowed as his soft lips touched mine, leaving my mind blank. James, however, seemed to savor the taste, starting to nibble as if he had found a delicacy.
Emily.
Unfortunately, my name is Sophia.
James, what do you take me for?
I bit down hard on his ear, taking advantage of his momentary pain to break free from his hold. Using all my strength, I slapped him across the face.
Sophia, do you know the crime of attempting to harm the crown prince?
It's late. I heard that Emily is delicate and afraid of the dark. If you don't accompany her now, she might cry, and you'll regret it.
He snorted coldly and left, his disdainful look puzzling me. If he disliked being with me so much, why come here in the middle of the night? I assumed he was drunk and not in his right mind, not wanting to think too much about it. The next day, news came from the border. My father had fallen ill and had been unconscious for several days. The military doctors had tried multiple treatments but couldn't wake him. I suddenly remembered that the Crown Prince's private treasury had 100-year-old Polygonum multiflorum, known to cure many ailments and prolong life. With this in mind, I immediately went to wait outside the study. Unexpectedly, it was Emily who arrived. Emily, a noble lady from a prestigious family, exuded elegance. She wore a silk brocade robe with delicate embroidery, her outer cloak made of soft fur. Her already beautiful face looked even more exquisite.
I couldn't help but fix my gaze on her slender neck, where faint red marks were barely concealed. It seemed they had a pleasant night together.
Greetings, Crown Princess.
Yes, why are you here?
I was annoyed. I couldn't ignore her, so I usually avoided her. Today, I couldn't avoid it.
His Highness drank some wine last night. He always gets headaches after drinking, so I made some hangover soup and brought it over.
Emily raised the food box in her hand. Seeing that I didn't respond, she walked past me and pushed open the door.
James, I made you some hangover soup.
What? James was inside all along? I turned sharply and saw James leaning against a chair, resting with his eyes closed. He didn't react to Emily entering, just cleared a spot on the cluttered desk for her to place the food box and serve the soup. James frowned slightly but took the soup and drank it in one gulp. On our wedding night, after drinking the ceremonial wine, I blushed, my mind filled with the images Mother had shown me the day before. James lifted my chin with his cold fingers, forcing me to look up.
I married you because of the Emperor's pressure. I have someone I love. You'd better behave as the Crown Princess. If I find out you've done anything you shouldn't, don't blame me for dealing with you personally.
He pushed me away without expression. That night, the clouds covered the moon, just like my shattered dreams and affections. I cried and tried to escape, but James impatiently grabbed my neck and growled.
Shut up, you foolish woman.
Ignoring my wishes, he completed the wedding night ritual. The next day, I lay in bed, forced to undergo the nanny's inspection. That humiliating inspection. I thought everyone went through this, but James almost cruelly told me otherwise. Only those who are unloved go through this. After Emily entered the mansion, I realized he could be gentle with someone. No one dared to disrespect the crown prince's beloved. Not even me. The wedding night was a nightmare I couldn't escape. James grabbed my neck and growled at me.
Shut up, you foolish woman.
The next day, I lay in bed, forced to undergo a humiliating inspection by the nanny.
Only those who are unloved go through this.
Emily's arrival highlighted how gentle James could be with someone he cherished. No one dared to disrespect the crown prince's beloved. Narrator, tone, sad. The night was dark, and the air heavy with tension. I tried to escape, but James's grip on my neck tightened.
James, tone, angry. Shut up, you foolish woman.
Narrator, tone, sad. Ignoring my pleas, he completed the wedding night ritual. The next day, I lay in bed, enduring the nanny's inspection. Narrator, tone, sad. That humiliating inspection. Narrator, tone, sad. I thought everyone went through this, but James almost cruelly told me otherwise. Only those who are unloved go through this. Narrator, tone, sad. After Emily entered the mansion, I realized he could be gentle with someone. No one dared to disrespect the crown prince's beloved. Not even me. As James had said, Emily began to stay close to me, her temper seemingly subdued for some reason.
Here, let me help you.
I retreated a bit, stopping Emily's actions.
What guilty thing have you done?
No, nothing. Just felt sorry for you.
I counted on my fingers.
When will my father arrive in the capital? It should be soon, right?
Emily's face showed hesitation. She wanted to say something but swallowed her words several times. I didn't notice at the time, just gazed at the sliver of blue sky outside with longing. The capital rarely had such clear skies. Perhaps even the heavens knew we hadn't seen each other for years and were happy for us. In a good mood, everyone seemed pleasant. Even though Emily often asked strange questions, I conversed with her cheerfully. At that time, I was still immersed in the beautiful fantasy of reuniting with my father. 3 days later, I was sunbathing in the garden. The midday sun was hot but exhilarating. Sweat soaked my inner clothes. I accidentally cut my side with a jade buckle, drawing a bit of blood. I winced in pain. Henry appeared out of nowhere, his sword gleaming with a chilling light.
Escape.
His left hand, veins bulging, grabbed me and started to drag me away.
Henry? What are you doing?
He hastily wrote a single word, then lifted me by the waist and leaped into the air. The weightlessness made me cling to him. Henry never joked. I wanted to say something, but a sudden chill brushed past my ear. I turned to look, and my shoulder was already stained with blood. The pain followed. My face? I stupidly touched my face, my hand coming away sticky. Henry caught a sharp arrow with one hand. He shielded me, facing a barrage of arrows alone. Through the gaps, I saw James, his face cold, standing tall with a bow in hand, aiming another arrow at me. He looked like the Grim Reaper from our wedding night.
Criminal Su Zhi, entering the capital with troops without permission. Crown Prince James, investigating secretly by imperial decree. Evidence of treason found in his private residence.
James raised his hand, pointing at me, and ordered the guards behind him, his voice hoarse and icy.
Kill.
The next moment, my vision was covered in red. Henry shielded me, his sword slashing through the endless arrows. He led me in a desperate escape, fending off the pursuing guards. Even the strongest person tires eventually. Soon, he was outnumbered and shot in the leg.
Henry!
I screamed, taking the arrow from his hand. Amidst the arrows, we supported each other, laughing bitterly as tears mixed with blood covered my face. Even a fool like me could see clearly now. A trap. 2 birds with 1 stone. Soon, we were surrounded. James, flanked by guards, stopped 5 steps away from me. His long eyes lifted, his black pupils hidden under his lashes. He looked like a grim reaper.
Sophia, come here.
Where is my father?
Henry struggled to shield me, but I held him back, my gaze fixed on James. James smirked, my disheveled figure reflected in his eyes. His tone was cruel.
Dead, executed.
A buzzing filled my head, and I spat out blood, unable to breathe, on the brink of collapse. My home was gone.
James, I will end you.
I'll be waiting.
I cried and tried to escape, but James impatiently grabbed my neck and growled.
Shut up, you foolish woman.
Ignoring my wishes, he completed the wedding night ritual. The next day, I lay in bed, forced to undergo the nanny's inspection. That humiliating inspection. I thought everyone went through this, but James almost cruelly told me otherwise.
Only those who are unloved go through this.
After Emily entered the mansion, I realized he could be gentle with someone. No one dared to disrespect the Crown Prince's beloved. Not even me. The room was filled with an uncomfortable silence. I cried and tried to escape, but James impatiently grabbed my neck.
Shut up, you foolish woman.
Ignoring my wishes, he completed the wedding night ritual. The next day, I lay in bed, forced to undergo the nanny's inspection. That humiliating inspection.
Why do I have to endure this?
Only those who are unloved go through this.
His words cut deep. After Emily entered the mansion, I realized he could be gentle with someone. No one dared to disrespect the Crown Prince's beloved. Not even me. I cried and tried to escape, but James impatiently grabbed my neck and growled.
Shut up, you foolish woman.
Ignoring my wishes, he completed the wedding night ritual. The next day, I lay in bed, forced to undergo the nanny's inspection. That humiliating inspection. I thought everyone went through this, but James almost cruelly told me otherwise. Only those who are unloved go through this. After Emily entered the mansion, I realized he could be gentle with someone. No one dared to disrespect the Crown Prince's beloved. Not even me. When James woke up and heard the news, he resolutely dragged his sick body to stay by my side. His lips, pale to the point of transparency, uttered cold words.
If anything happens to the noble consort, you will all accompany her.
Chancellor Smith knelt on the ground, his head stiffly raised.
I was truly concerned for your Majesty's comfort and acted hastily. Please forgive me, your Majesty.
Emily stood to the side, tears welling in her eyes. Stubbornly refusing to let them fall, she looked at James's back with resentment, occasionally glancing at me with deep curses in her eyes.
Is my child all right?
James gently held my hand by my side, lowering his head to rub his nose against it. His voice carried a timeless tenderness.
It's all right, Sophia. Our child will be born safely.
Upon hearing this, I saw out of the corner of my eye that Emily almost crushed the handkerchief in her hand. Suppressing my laughter, I raised my other hand, and James quickly held it.
I want to go home. Will you take me home?
James, immersed in the joy of becoming a father, agreed without hesitation.
Of course! I'll even accompany you for a short stay.
That goes against etiquette. I must return alone.
I returned alone to the mansion in the capital. The child in my womb was somewhat unstable after this ordeal. James specifically found a renowned gynecologist to care for me constantly. Nutritional supplements for pregnancy were continuously sent to me, but I refused his visits 4 out of 5 times. The one time I allowed it, Emily had to accompany him. As time passed, my belly grew larger, and Emily became more repressed. James's health also improved. On the day of delivery, a torrential rain poured outside, with strong winds howling, while inside, the heat was intense.
Giving birth was truly painful, a pain that pierced the heart. I kept recalling father's death and the humiliation of the first half of my life. With a scream, the baby's cry echoed through the sky. At the same moment, there was a dull thud outside the door. I heard the guard's exclamations and hurried footsteps.
There was a secret medicine in the western regions called neither living nor dead. Using blood as a guide, it harmonizes yin and yang, taking root in the body for 10 months. During this period, the body not only doesn't weaken but becomes stronger until the 10th month when the parasite is born. The host's life force instantly vanishes.
James, what makes you think I would willingly bow to you?
The day before James's death, I held my daughter and came to him, dismissing everyone else. Now, his face was gaunt, struggling in vain. His breath was filled with the stench of decay. Seeing me, he struggled to get up, his skeletal hands reaching for the baby.
You're dying.
Are you happy? The taste of personal revenge.
James silently withdrew his hands, pulling the blanket around him, leaning against the wall, looking at me sideways.
Of course, I'm happy. After you die, I'll drink 3 bowls of good wine. Crushing bones and scattering ashes, whipping the corpse, or what kind of death do you want? I'll fulfill it for you.
Sophia, you're more ruthless than I imagined.
He suddenly laughed, tears streaming from his eyes.
You learned well from me. You should be proud. You taught such an excellent student.
James's body trembled, yet he continued to laugh madly.
It doesn't matter. Ultimately, the ruler of this world carries my bloodline. Sophia, I like you more and more, ha ha ha, ha ha.
Is that so? But the baby in my arms is not your bloodline.
Upon hearing this, James looked like a goose being strangled, his eyes red, staring at me speechlessly.
My lifelong love is my childhood sweetheart, Henry. You're cut off.
I giggled, patting his gaunt face.
How about crushing bones and scattering ashes? It might barely ease my hatred.
I took 2 steps back, watching him struggle to tear the yellow ribbon. When the yellow ribbon breaks, the ruler dies.
Fool, I sewed it shut long ago. Ha ha ha, rest in peace. I'll manage this world for you.
After James's death, Emily tried multiple times to follow him in death, but I stopped her each time. Seeing her gloomy demeanor, as if the sky had fallen, I was annoyed and had her sent to a nunnery.
Didn't she want to follow him in death? That would be inhumane. Let's settle for the next best thing, become a nun. Pray for him and keep his memory alive, how wonderful.
The ministers had many objections to my son's appointment as the crown princess. But with James's lineage dwindling, there was only this one child. They had to accept it, whether they liked it or not. Later, I used the same methods the Smith family used against my family, returning the favor. On the day of execution, I made a point to attend. choosing the sunniest day, I fulfilled my long-cherished wish of crushing bones and scattering ashes. Of course, James's body was difficult to handle, and the royal tomb was hard to rob. I went through great efforts, pulling off a grand deception, placing Henry's body inside. He was innocent, implicated, and I used him to anger James to death.
I heard the royal tomb had long burning incense. May you ascend to bliss early, be reborn into wealth, and never encounter me again.